Greetings, travelers. Welcome to Channel 42's In the Cafe. Today we have a very special guest. We're going to land right over here at his base, and let's see if we can find him. All right. It's a beautiful base out here in Zoberange. He sent us a gracious invite, and we can't wait to visit and see what Agent Tomcat has in store. Let's take a look. Wow, this is a really big place. Excuse me, sir, have you seen Agent Tomcat?
What'll it be, pal? Who's asking?
DG squared. Have you seen Tomcat?
You're looking at him. How's it going?
Good to see you. How are you? I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Great. It's beautiful weather out here in 42, and the Diplos are walking, and the Womps are womping, and business is a little down because we're in quarantine, but that's life.
Well, we're in 42, so that's okay. A little bit segregated way out here.
Yeah.
We've got this huge, beautiful bar you set up here. Wow, this is fantastic, man. You've got outdoor seating. You've got this lovely bar. Man, I can't believe what a great job you did of this.
Thank you.
I better take a little bit of nip. Here we go. Let's get the show started. Perfect. Wow, this is a gorgeous place. You want to show me around upstairs to some seating?
Yeah. Step into my office. We got. I'll give you a very quick tour. There's an aquarium here.
Oh,
two-story aquarium.
Nice one. Oh, whoa, two
Nice.
stories.
Veranda seating. And we come up to the glass bottom deck up here.
All right. Oh, wow, this is gorgeous.
Just don't wear skirts on this level.
Yes.
And then up here we got the nice VIP seating.
Oh, remember not to wear my kilt here.
Yeah.
Wow, this is gorgeous. Look at that view.
Oh, and there's a Diplo right there keeping us company.
Hello. Wow. Gorgeous. Well, let me come on over here and take a seat with you. Greetings. Welcome to the show. How are you today?
Great. Doing great. It's gorgeous weather in real life too. It's wonderful. Oh, my buddy's walking in. So it's been, it actually matches the weather that's out here in 42 right now. It's just nice and balmy and pleasant, and it's great. How are you doing?
Not too bad, not too bad. We've got a little breeze out here on the west coast. It's sunny but breezy. I'll take it because, I mean, hey, at any time that's not raining is good for me. Whereabouts do you live, Tom?
I am in Kansas.
Kansas. Yeah, and so obviously you mentioned the weather is gorgeous today. Have you had a lot of bad weather lately, or what?
No, just a little bit of spring rain, but it's been pretty nice. We're just coming up on tornado season, so it'll
Yikes.
start getting bad pretty soon, but really nice right now.
Wow, tornadoes. I don't know if I want to be afraid or excited for a tornado, to be honest with you. It's a heck of an event.
I am probably unafraid of tornadoes to an unhealthy degree. Like a quick story. My cat was at home, and there was a tornado directly east of my house that was originally heading north. And it was about 10 miles east of my house. And then the weather reported that it was shifting and heading due west. I'm like, oh, that's my cat. So I had to get home and save her. So I'm in a convertible at the time, and it starts hailing. But luckily I'm driving the same direction as the hail. I left my cover that I was in at the time, by the way. I left the place where I was safe, and I went out into my convertible, drove down, um, and as I got past a certain road, then they reported that the tornado shifted directions again, and we were no longer in danger. It was like, well, I'm already headed down there. I'll keep going. So I pull out my phone. I'm driving 75 miles per hour down the highway. Pull
Yeah.
out my phone, start recording the tornado as it's heading north to my east, as driving 75 miles per hour down the road toward home. Just,
Wow, you're lucky to get picked up and thrown around
yeah,
in
should
a
have been a dirt
convertible.
storm chaser.
Wow, I hope your car didn't take on too much damage from the interior.
No, it didn't take any actually. I was like, well, my top is going to be shredded because it was a convertible, but I was heading the same direction as the hail, so every time one hit, it just went blink and
Bounced
fell
right
off.
off. Wow. Wow, I'd love to see some footage of that. Maybe perhaps when we broadcast, if you happen to have some of that, we'd love to see that.
Yeah, I think I've still got it on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I'll
Oh,
post it.
yeah, yeah. We'll see if we can find that on YouTube, or at least I can find the link and put it up there. That would be fantastic footage. So, how long have you played No Man's Sky?
I've been playing since day one.
Since day one.
I Yeah, I was excited for it ahead of time. I was keeping track of this one, and I think Star Citizen was already, on the horizon at that point, and a few others. And I knew I wanted this. I didn't pre-order or anything. I just walked into a local store here that had it and bought it day one.
Wow. Yeah, I did very much the same. It was a little bit later in the afternoon. I thought there'd be a huge lineup, but no, there was no lineup at the time. And then, of course, all the backlash and so on. But um, you know, uh, if you played from the beginning, you mentioned you've got a couple of kids. How's it like been trying to keep up with the game and have a family? Tell us about your family a little bit.
Well, I actually just got the one daughter, um, and it's been, when I'm with her, uh, once in a while I'll play, and she loves watching. Um, and she wants to always play. Like, oh, I actually have an account set up just for her
Oh,
to
right
just
on.
go in and and try to figure out how the controller works and press buttons and stuff. Um, but most of the time that I play is spent when I'm not with her, uh, because it just no, it just doesn't work out. We're usually pretty active when we're together, so
Yeah, I know with raising kids, especially young children and a new family, it's really difficult to find the time to play. So, I mean, kudos to you for being able to play and raise a family and everything else. You mentioned you have just the one daughter or two?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, just one.
Oh, wow. And so now, how old
Yeah,
is she now?
she's 3 years old now.
3 years old. Yeah, and the game about the same time came out not too far after that, I guess.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
right around the same time.
Yeah.
See, I think that released in what was it?
I think it was August in 2016.
Yeah, and she was born in April 2017. So,
Wow. Wow. Well, belated happy birthday to her.
thank you. So,
So I see you've got this the suit that you're wearing. This you've got a yellow and an orange stripe. It's got a little bit of a backstory behind it. Can you tell us a little bit about the backstory of your costume and character?
yeah, so this is the Agent Tomcat character. He's the leader of a hazardous material slash rescue unit called Shard. Uh, it's centered around going into hazardous places and either rescuing people or cleaning up hazardous materials, like after a disaster.
Hmm.
And I definitely modeled the whole thing after a hazmat suit with, the fully enclosed yellow and blue gloves and just kind of anything I could pull out to match that aesthetic. And then Shard was the central point, the central focus of a set of stories that I did uh, a couple years ago now. And at the time when I started those, the group was called, kind of tongue in cheek, it was Action Hazmat Team 1. And so it was just the AHT1 stories.
I love the acronyms.
And so then we went through the story, and I didn't plan anything as I was writing it. I just sort of wrote it as I went and developed the story. And then at the end of that, I had one of the characters say to my character, that's a really stupid name. You should change it. And so then I had already cooked up a different acronym that sounded cooler. And that's, oh man, I can't remember it now. Space Hazard Rescue. Oh wait, Space Hazard Action Rescue Division.
That's right, Shard, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. Yes, I remember that one well. That's fantastic. Another great acronym. I love the hazmat suit design you've got here. It does actually look like a hazmat suit. It's fantastic. You even got the blue gloves and everything. Great job. Great job designing it. What Now you've been playing NMS since day one. What do you like doing in the game? Like, what's your
You
favorite
know,
thing?
it's just a little bit of everything. Um, I spend most of my time, I think, in photo mode, um,
We all
which
spend
ends
a
up,
lot.
yeah. Ever since it was added, oh man, it's just been an addiction. Actually, right after it was added, my buddy Adam, who's here with me now, he said to me, "So I hear that the game has got photo mode and people have been creating actual art with it." I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to check this out. And so I checked it out and I was hooked from then on. Um, but before that, it was I loved the grind of just upgrading, suit slots and inventory, yeah, getting my inventory decked out with everything I needed. And um, early on, you could get to a maximum slot ship just by tracking down crash ships, because the next one would be one slot higher.
I
And
remember
so
those days. Yes, the
yeah, I love
salvage days.
that. And so I did the grind of doing that, and I loved that. I loved exploring just different planets and different configurations and finding the crazy animals there were. First, I think 3 days that I played the game, right after day one, I wasn't connected to the internet, so I was playing without the day one patch.
Oh,
And
okay.
it was the galaxy that was 10 times smaller, and there were definitely a lot of elements that I encountered that were placeholders, like those hex bushes, a lot more than I've encountered, since the day one patch fixed a lot of them. But so that was really fun to just explore and see all the new sites. But I also just love the grind of hunting, ship hunting, figuring out algorithms for ship spawning and multi-tool spawning, and figuring out how to find the best ones, and
Hmm.
trying to find S-class cabinets and that sort of thing.
So,
Um, you
well, you've done a lot in the game, as you're just mentioning. From discoveries and multi-tools and ships. I I'm at your base in Zobringe. It's beautiful out here, and it's an amazing base. It's gorgeous. You've done some great glitch building here, and of course the setting is amazing. You've done more than just a couple of builds. There was the Millennium Falcon, and I believe there was Megatron, two of your some of your greatest builds, and still
know,
stand the test of time. Can you tell us a little bit about those? Because those are really amazing. Like, how long did it take to build either one of those?
let's see. The Millennium Falcon, I think I spent, um, oh man, it was a 2 week period that I spent. It was several hours. I think I spent like a whole weekend, almost nonstop working on the Northern Falcon, and then hours throughout the weeks that surrounded.
Yeah. Now
Uh,
this was pre-Beyond,
yeah,
pre-Next as well, for that matter.
yeah.
So, like, what challenges did you face for some of those amazing builds?
Um, Man, it was just trying to figure out how to get the pieces into those angles and shapes when you only had the adjacency glitch. The frontage to floor glitch was my friend during that build. He
Yeah, I
was
think
just
that was the only glitch that was actually actively working. And it was, for me, it was very difficult, but some people did some amazing work with it. Yourself and Boyd and Beeblebum and some of those other players. And you built not just the Millennium Falcon, but it was you also did Megatron in an action pose. And for
Mhm.
those of you who haven't seen it, there's pictures available in the wiki and also in Tomcat's um, profile. You guys should check that out. What about that one? Because you caught that in an action pose itself, and it's, that's pretty amazing to capture that moment and also to have all the dimensions correct. What about that one?
Oh, thank you. But yeah, that one was. I think I spent just a weekend on that one. I kind of had a little bit more planned out, and it was, I think, a less complex build than the Falcon. Yeah, it definitely was a less complex build. But it was very. It was. I had the advantage of having the wire glitch available at that time, but it wasn't the blender glitch that we have now that hadn't been
Right,
either
it's
discovered.
the first one that was discovered. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, you need to
And
put it in a green state, I believe.
yes, yeah. And that made it so that I could get those pieces into, like, using a combination of that and just the pyramid shapes. I could get the different sections into the angles that I needed.
Hmm.
Excuse me. And then from there, it was making sure that I could have the blocks placed in such a way that they looked like they were connected to the main body and everything was connected to each other properly. And yeah, it was that was actually really fun to do, and it felt really rapid compared to the amount of time we spent on some of the other builds.
It's some
But
really detail oriented. I'm surprised it only took you a weekend.
yeah, I think it was a weekend, and I think I finished up a couple hours on another night.
Wow. Wow, that's really impressive. Um, Now this base here, out in Zoberange, Galaxy 42, you built this for the cafe, and we're very, very proud of it. And we should be throwing more parties here because look at the seating. This is fantastic. You've got Diplos in the background, and Womps that are womping around everywhere. Let's see if we can get a Diplo. There we go. Um, just beautiful sight. What a view. What a view. Lovely panoramic. Birds in
Yeah,
the
this one
sky.
was.
This is one of those planets you just don't ever want to leave.
Yeah, I love it. I love this planet actually. When I got out here to 42, I'd actually joined Marty Merrick's game, and I don't remember exactly what I was doing at the time, but I realized that I don't remember what I was doing, but I realized that I was in 42, and it's like, oh, let me just pop a base down here. And so then I did, and I came back to it a week or two later, and I was like, okay, I'm in 42. This was cafe related. I've got an idea for doing something for the cafe. Make just a little refuge, something integrated with the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy lore, and um, searched for. I thought about using some of the names of different bars in the books, but then I just settled on the Hitchhiker's Refuge instead, and yeah, just came out and found a good planet to build on and built this one. I think this one took. Um, I think this was also a weekend.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love the foliage that you've added around the base as well. It blends really nicely with the landscape.
But yeah, I thought that was it was pretty fortunate that they had base trees that you could build with that that matched pretty well the trees that were already on this planet.
Yeah, how rare is that, eh?
Yeah.
So, you've been playing the game forever and you've done all these things, and you've explored everywhere. What brought you out to 42? Well, okay, let me rephrase that. You already told us what brought you here. Well, how come you didn't make the journey with us to 42? Were you just busy with time or other projects, or?
Yeah, it was. I had watched that the 42 journey was happening, the pilgrimage. Everybody was, invited to go, and like, I would love to make that pilgrimage with them, but I don't remember what was happening at the time, but I was really busy with stuff in real life. Didn't have a lot of chances to actually play the game. I kept up in the Amino, but yeah, it just didn't work out timing wise.
Well, you did have a now young family, so I mean that's pretty good excuse right there.
Yeah.
So we're glad that you're here, and we're happy that you got a lift off of Marty, and it traveling. How many galaxies have you traveled in your experiences?
Oh, let's see. I initially went to Hilbert and then Calypso. I've been to Eisentam. I've been to 42, of course. And I have been to one other. It starts with an I, and I can't think of the name. I think it's a vision
Idora
outside.
Jung? Idora Jung?
Yeah,
Could be.
it might be that one.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's 19. Um, well, so your experience, you've traveled around and made your way around through the cosmos. That's I mean, I would expect really none less from somebody who's played from day one. There's so many things to do in this game, and crossing galaxies is only just one of them.
Yeah.
Um, for me, it's one of my favorite experiences. What about you? Do you have like a favorite thing in the game that it just blows your mind away that you love to experience every time it happens?
Really, I think my favorite thing, the things that really blow my mind are when I can get the game to do things that it wasn't meant to do. So glitch building is one.
Right.
But the I don't know if you remember, for the very first community event, there was a glitch where players could get stuck back in Euclid if they were coming from another galaxy.
Oh, I remember. All right.
Yeah. And I had this I had this character out in Calypso. I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be back in Euclid, because I had just discovered the communities and wanted to actually be able to travel to people's bases and hang out. So I actually used that glitch to get back here permanently.
Uh-huh.
And then they fixed the whole system and I didn't have to worry about it. But
Uh,
that kind of stuff, when I can wrap my head around it and really get down into the nitty gritty and make something work, I love it.
yeah. You love the success of beating
Hmm.
the game or beating it at its own game. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about that. For the longest time, I did a lot of space travel and racing across the cosmos. And for me, a lot of it was making it all in one journey and seeing what kind of a time I could put down against somebody else who was also doing the same. Um, and that was a lot of fun for a long time. And I eventually made my way to Amino, and things sort of changed a little bit, and I had a little bit more interaction with other people, and that's when the community really was introduced to me. What brought you to Amino and the rest of the No Man's Sky community?
Well, I was actually looking for just anything that was No Man's Sky related in the Android App Store, the Play Store,
Yeah.
and I just searched for No Man's Sky, and there were several different things I was looking for, like information resources, like a wiki app or something. And this NMS app came up and that was the standalone app that the Galaxy created. And I installed that and started looking around. I was like, this is kind of weird. I don't really get Amino. I'm not understanding, but I'm gonna keep trucking with this. And then I discovered that that wasn't the main app, and there was actually an Amino app. And so I went and installed that instead, um, and kept both and just started looking at, oh, are there any other communities like this for No Man's Sky? And so I searched and found the cafe, found the FTI, found um, the Amino, the
Amino Hub?
NMS Amino, yeah,
Yeah.
the Amino Hub, and joined all of them, and the rest was history. Because I mean, the FDI and the cafe just sort of sucked me in and kept me as one of their own, and I was overjoyed.
I remember seeing your name back in the day when I first joined Amino myself, and things were all new, and there weren't any other aminos at the time. There was just the one big one, the standalone, and slowly there was others that had started to pop up as other civs and communities started to gather around and create their own little communities. And that was really kind of fantastic. And time passes and you forget about names that you haven't seen in a long time. And lo and behold, I came across your name about a year or so later in some of the other aminos, and I went, well, how about that? He's still with us, and it, you know, it's, I keep seeing your name pop up over the years. It's quite funny. You've always been an iconic figure in the game who's just keeps coming back with some great builds, great photos, amazing art. Your digital art is really awesome. Can you tell us about some of the digital art that you do?
Yeah, so like one of my favorite things to do out of the game with game resources is take the screenshots that I've taken in game and modify them, uh, and using various different image editing apps to just either enhance them or turn them into something else entirely. Like if you look at my avatar in the cafe, the image that I used for that was a complete modification of a screenshot combined with a custom background that I had created, and turned it into something else entirely. And I love doing that kind of stuff. A lot of it takes very little time for me to do. I get in there and just sort of start feeling around what I want to make happen.
Yeah.
Just kind of throw random stuff at it and see what sticks, and let the process carry me forward instead of me driving the process. Sometimes I drive the process, but usually I'm letting it go where it wants to go.
Yeah. They're
So,
they're pretty amazing works. What apps do you use, or is it a program on the computer?
I have used Photoshop before. I used Photoshop to create a few shots for the stories that I did, the AHT1 stories, but mostly it's been Snapseed, which has been kind of my workhorse for most of the screenshots. But I'll
Snapseed,
go
eh?
back.
I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to look into
so I'll
that
go
one.
back. It's really great. It's actually really powerful. The processing is done on your phone, um, and it has a lot of stuff available. But then I want to diversify it, so I'll use Pixlr, which is actually a web-based Photoshop alternative who then came out with their own app that stands alone. And so I'll go back and forth between Snapseed and Pixlr, and then I have actual Photoshop Mix on my phone. There are different Photoshop types for the phone, but I've got Photoshop Mix
Okay.
and Prisma, and then another one called Chroma Lab and Mirror Lab, which are by the same developer.
Okay. I've heard
And
of those apps. I've just used the PixArt app, which is probably piss poor in comparison.
no, a ton of people swear by PixArt and use PixArt almost exclusively, and I mean, it's produced some incredible results from what I've seen. I have used it. Um, the way that I work, I I just like fit better with Snapseed and Pixlr.
Right. Well, it suits
Um,
your eye. Maybe the iOS is probably a little bit more, or sorry, OS, I should say, is probably a little bit more comfortable to your eye or your fingers. Um, Controls, always a big thing with an app. I'm gonna have to look into those apps, see if they're, you know, little bit more worth my time. I spend an awful lot of time in photo mode. I should.
They're pretty great.
Yeah, yeah. What you talked about your character a little bit in the suit. You're also a very accomplished writer. What else do you write? Like what brings you onto writing, and what excites you about writing?
You know, I went to my first college with a goal in mind that I was going to be very utilitarian about everything. I wasn't going to learn how to flourish anything, how to put extra art on anything. Just get through it, get a degree. But then I encountered my English teacher, one Dr. Russell Dutry, who is a Renaissance man and somehow inspired me to not only fall in love with creative writing in English, but fall in love with learning. And from that point on, I was doomed because I loved writing. And I had to just keep writing. Uh, I've written um, essays, I've written short stories, written
Hmm.
poetry, a lot of poetry.
Oh yeah.
Love poetry. I've written stage plays, which I have. Um, I got into doing, thespian arts at that same college,
Oh whoa.
and I fell in love with all aspects of doing stage plays. So I have to date done um, almost every single possible role that you can have: stagecraft, direction, assistant direction, art direction, um, and acting, and then writing the stage plays themselves, costume design, makeup design. Um,
Wow. Holy smokes. So you love the visual arts. That's really awesome, dude. Um, Jeez. And you act as well. Have you acted in many plays, or do you act in just what you write?
I have acted in um, many other plays that I have not written, but more recently, probably in the past, oh, 15 years, I've only acted in one I've written.
Uh-huh.
Um, Not for lack of interest, just that's just that. This is how it happened.
Well, that's fantastic, man. I'm really impressed. Acting, writing, fantastic with the arts. You're a pretty amazing guy. Jeez.
Thank you. And for the most recent one, was the most recent one? One of the ones that I did, I think it was the most recent one, was a musical, and that marked the first time that I had ever written songs and music and then
You've done a
sang on
musical too.
stage. Yeah.
That's a different ballgame altogether than just writing stage play. Um, that's really impressive. Now, can you sing as well?
Yes. Yeah.
I even ask?
I can't vouch for how well, but I would have to say I did a fairly passable baritone in that play, in that musical. So,
Wow. Wow. Super impressed, dude. That's excellent. Um, Geez, there's nothing you can't do in real life and in game.
well, except make money at it.
Wasn't that the truth, right?
That's,
If we could make money at our hobbies, man, we'd all be rich, right?
yeah, yeah.
Boy, don't I wish. I did a little bit of acting and stage play and writing and stuff back in high school myself. Most of that is just scraps of paper that in a binder left somewhere. Do you have any of your work that's published that anybody can reread or look at?
Yeah, I publish many of them on my portfolio site, just agenttomcat.com, and I can leave a link when this is put
Oh,
out.
please do. Yeah, put a link
Um,
in the chat room.
okay, but I've also, I don't know, on poetry.com many years ago, you could get published if you just simply submitted some poetry. They would eventually put it into a compilation and publish it.
Hmm.
So I actually do have, I think, two poems that are published in an actual hardbound book from
Congratulations.
poetry.com. But that was, you know, a long, long time ago.
Yeah.
Everything else has been self-published.
Congratulations, dude.
Thank you.
Wow. How old are you?
I am 37.
37. And wow, you've
I'll be
accomplished a
38.
lot. That's really impressive. I better get my ass going because I feel like a schmo. I haven't done anything. I just play the game well, man. So, um, all the things that you've done in the game, and of course, what keeps you busy in real life and so on. What keeps you playing? What keeps you interested in the game year after year?
I think the biggest thing that keeps me interested in coming back is the community. Um, the inspiration that I get from the people that I'm interacting with. Uh, my one of my favorite people, probably my favorite person in game is Slade Braddock, and he is the kind of person who just pushes me to uh, do the next thing. You know, like
Yeah, Slade's a
come and
great
help me
fella.
build this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
he's
a
awesome.
great builder, accomplished player in many, many rights and ways and styles in the game. Um, love that guy. He's like a brother. Yeah.
And he also writes poetry. I'll let him tell you all about that.
You know what? I may have to have a second interview with Mr. Slade Braddock.
Yeah, he we had actually collaborated on something. It'll be up to him whether he shares it, but we did a collaboration on a
I'd be
poem.
interested to ask him on that. Thank you for telling me.
Um, and but outside of that, I want to do more where we collaborate. Like he built that egg, and I kind of installed the floor.
Yeah,
Uh, all sorts of collabs. Um,
collabs are
Marty
great.
Merrick. Oh, the egg. Yeah,
Yeah,
Slade knocked that out of the park on that one. I went and visited that egg before, when he had first put it up. I'm like, my jaw hit the floor. It was beautiful. Um, that especially the way that the ceiling looked when it was done. Like, oh man.
it was amazing. Yeah, perfectly blended. He did a great job with it. I was super impressed. Yeah.
Um, and then Marty Merrick uh, was actually the first person that I ever did a multiplayer game with. So like I had heard ambient chat back when we actually had chat in game,
Yeah,
um,
the old
and
orbs.
yeah, but nothing where, and I turned it off because I was tired of hearing people talk and complain about the game. Like there were people saying nice things, but most of the people were just complaining at that time.
Yeah.
And so when I went and actually joined Murder Merrick's game, it was a brand new experience. It's like, oh man, I've never done this before, and it was downhill from there.
Well, you picked
Because
a hell of a guy to join up with because Marty's a fun guy.
he
He's a
really
blast to
is.
be around. He's always got a joke up his sleeve.
Yeah,
If you ever need a smile, go talk to Marty.
absolutely.
Yeah, we love
um,
Marty.
he is awesome, and he really, I think, was the right way for me to break into doing multiplayer, because in addition to being fun, he was so respectful, and just quick, and really loved to chat, and it kind of pulled
He,
me out of my shell. And
he's a real genuine guy. He really is.
yeah.
Yeah.
um,
You
but
know,
I get inspired by like people like Ash Facta, and back when Olagolos was playing, I was really inspired by his big curve that he had figured out. And I get inspired by you, but when you're doing your Kotet related stuff, doing investigations of the algorithms and ship hunting and multi-tool hunting, and um, it's been Panda and Lily setting up these communities. Uh, it's yeah, I just the community just keeps me coming back for more.
Yeah, the community is pretty amazing. There's a lot of amazing people. Like the list can go on and on and on, and you could always feel like you've left somebody off the list because there's just so many great players and people.
Yeah,
Something about No Man's Sky just attracts really amazing, good-hearted people. And
absolutely.
rarely do we ever see, somebody who's bad. And even the ones who may seem, not necessarily a great person initially, might just be having an off day, and usually turn out to be a pretty decent person anyways. Um,
Hmm.
I've just found some amazing people in this community, and that's one of the things that's also brought me back, is just the people itself. I may not play the game as often as I had, when the game first came out, but the community, it keeps me coming back. It keeps me playing just enough to keep things current and keep fresh content. Um, and the amino and everything is what keeps me going. Um, how about yourself? What platform are you a preferred poster on?
I think I most prefer posting on Amino, but I also post to um, my Instagram and Twitter and Gab and Facebook.
Yeah, yeah. You use a lot of Twitter. That's a very
Yeah.
popular medium. Yes.
And then No Man's Sky Social, the site that was created just to be like a No Man's Sky Facebook.
Right.
Um, Not as active on there as I would like to be. I keep kind of.
Yeah, I never joined that one, and
Yeah.
mostly because of Facebook. I'm not a Facebook fan, and so that one just sort of has eluded me all these years.
Yeah, and it is very heavily inspired by Facebook. Like it's very clear
Yeah,
in the design. But it's so far, Amino has been really king for me because once I figured it out, it really felt like a cross between um, Facebook and MySpace. If
yeah.
you remember MySpace.
I do
Um,
remember MySpace. That
yeah.
wasn't my favorite app, but I've always found it like the Amino, despite the fact that it was not intended for No Man's Sky, it somehow has become or has managed to be one of the best companion apps for a video game. It has
Yeah.
like it's got wikis, it's got a colorful main feed. You can feature things, feature players. Um, Videos can be embedded. Of course, we're doing talk shows. It's like everything fits beautifully. And I almost wish a contract was made between HG and Amino so that that things could happen in admin level that would assure greater community play and contact for the game.
Yeah. Yeah, and it helps too that Amino and No Man's Sky kind of grew up together because came out July of the year that No Man's Sky came out.
Hmm. Yeah,
So they were brand new together.
yeah. Amino is somewhat designed for a younger audience, but just what's in the actual program itself is what makes it so unique and so um, lends itself so well to the game, and
Yeah.
vice versa. I wish I wish HG would use a little bit more amino in some of their when they're hunting for information and looking and seeing what the player base is actually doing. A great number of the player base is on amino, and it's just a great app. It really is.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean it's I would I don't know between all the different communities, sheer numbers of people on Mino has to be close to rivaling the people who use Reddit. You know, because that's like their main information source now.
Yeah, you would think so. And I mean, it's with all the different communities, not just the cafe, like the big Amino, No Man's Sky Amino. I think they've got somewhere close to around 50,000 members to their credit. Now, I mean, obviously they're not all current and playing and still members. Um, but just having the amount of people that have come and entered, whether they've entered and left or entered and stayed, that tells you they've actually entertained using amino at one point during the game, whether or not they still play the game or not. But um, it's interesting when you look at the numbers behind Amino and Reddit and so on and so forth. Why Reddit? I will never understand that one.
Yeah,
Amino is just
I
so
never will.
colorful. It's got moving pictures and everything. It's just captivates the eye. And even if that's too much for you, Discord is a second runs a really really close rival, in my opinion as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's they're but overall, I think they end up complementing each other. You know, 'cause we can share content back and forth and inspire each other still, even from disparate communities.
Yeah. Do you have any plans in the future of some things that you want to do, some builds or traveling or projects?
Yeah, you know, right now one that's on the horizon is a build for that I'm doing in honor of an amino community that I'm a leader in, um, and it's specifically a Gundam, the Wing Zero Gundam.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's a slow progress build. It's very slow. I have a wireframe right now, and that's about it. Um, but I will eventually finish it. Um, so that's on the horizon. I've got other ideas that keep popping in my head, and I just kind of catalog them. I want to do a sandworm. I'm pretty sure that's been done before, but I want to do like a gigantic one.
There it has, but not a lot. It that can be somewhat complex to do. So you know what? I look forward to those builds. I can't wait to see your version of a sandworm. Um, with your skill, I have no doubt it's going to be amazing.
Thank you.
Um, just for interest of time, I want to make sure that we get everything into our interview here. I'd want to have one more question that I have to ask for you.
Okay.
And I think I bumbled all those words up. If you can understand my word salad, then we're on the right path. My final question for you, Tom, is do you have the answers to life, the universe, and everything in between?
24. Oh, wait.
Ooh.
Strike that. Reverse it. 42.
I like that. 42 slash 24.
24.
Or
That's my
24 slash
Willy
42.
Wonka version of 42.
I like that. I'm going to have to write that one down. I don't think anyone's used that one yet. That's perfect. Have you had a lot of favorites to those questions?
Um, a lot of favorites.
Many people use different answers.
Oh yeah.
We've heard
You know,
16.
um, out of the ones that I've heard, well, you know, obviously every time I keep expecting 42, but I I like the ones where they don't understand that the reference and they just come up with a like a philosophical answer. I'm like, you
Hmm.
know, that was beautiful, and it really fits the purpose of the question. It's meant to be open ended. Um,
That's right.
I think those come out great.
I do like those. They're always interesting to see what the various different things are. Sometimes for shock value or for just to be funny. Um, but I think that's the reason why I keep asking that question is because I want to hear different answers and what everyone else's version of that answer would be. And so we have 24.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Tom. I
Well,
really
thank you for
appreciate.
having me.
Yeah, you know what? It's a total pleasure. I really appreciate you being on the show. For those of you who don't know, Tomcat and I had a gaffe. My recording did not take our first one, and so this is delayed. And I'm finally able to bring this to you. So, Tom, thank you so much for your patience. I really appreciate doing a second interview with me.
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely.
you
As many
know,
times as it takes.
you're just another genuine, fantastic guy, a part of the community, and we're really, really proud of you, and we're proud to have you part of our family. And thanks again for being on the show and taking part.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thanks for stopping by. Grab yourself a drink on the way out and on the house. We'll
I
talk
will,
to you later.
thanks. I will, thanks. And maybe ride a Diplo on the way out.
Yeah.
It's fantastic, fantastic. Thank you again. This is In the Cafe, brought to you by Channel 42. Take care, travelers.